Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Matt Mitchell Show here at Uccellos. I'm DJ Foster, joined as always by Grand Valley State head football coach Matt Mitchell. Mitch, you look at the score after the game at Lake Erie on Saturday night. It says 61-31. Looks like a blowout. Obviously, we know better. Going into the fourth quarter, you had a 33-31 lead, and you scored 4 touchdowns to kind of widen the gap and make it look like a little bit more of a blowout. But the stat that I couldn't believe afterwards that I heard, in the fourth quarter, you had 238 yards offense. Lake Erie had -6 yards of offense. So this game was much closer going into the final 15 minutes than most fans would think.
Yeah, and some of that was our own fault. You know, in the first half, we got off to a really slow start offensively. And, we went 3 and out, 3 and out, and 3 and out on our first 3 possessions. And then we had a kick return for a touchdown thrown in there. So, we scored 19 points in the first half, and only seven of those came from obviously special teams. So you scored 12 points. I mean, that's not what we expected out of our offense. But, and then defensively, we gave up a lot of big plays, way too many big plays. They had the 6 plays accounted for 250 yards of offense. So we knew that it came down to execution on both sides of the ball. That what we were doing offensively and defensively was good on the board, good schematically. We just weren't quite executing the level we could. I think our offense did a much better job the second half. I mean, we go from scoring 1 offensive touchdown to 5 the second half was huge, and some of those were set up by our special teams. And then we got a little bit better on defense. And I think the other thing is the reason we got those 2 picks is because we had a lead and they were forced to throw.
Right.
And that's not really an option team's gig, is to drop back and throw. And so, he throws a bad ball, we pick it off for 6, we get another one, sets up a short field for a touchdown. So that's how it got from 33-31 to 61, was because a couple of turnovers and some special team stuff really exploded. And we were, that could have probably happened quicker in that game had we taken care of business a little bit better on both sides of the ball, and forced them to not just have they were only ever down by 2 and or 9 points throughout most of the first 3 quarters. If it would have got to a double-digit type score, then it may have escalated further from there, but we didn't get to that opportunity to do that until the fourth quarter.
In the first 3 quarters, Lake Erie put up 488 yards and 31 points. As I mentioned, fourth quarter, 0 points, -6 yards. What were your overall thoughts on the defense?
Well, again, it came down to, if you look at the deal, Lake Erie ran a ton of plays in the first half, and a lot of that was because they had the ball quite a bit because we weren't doing much on offense or returning kickoffs for a touchdown, which put us right back out on the field. So, they ran a lot of plays, and we did a poor job with tackling that really hurt us. But of the 78 plays they ran, as I mentioned in this press conference, they got over 250 yards on 6 of them. The other 72 were pretty good. So it wasn't like it was a complete meltdown on the defensive side of the ball. It was just some big plays here and there that really hurt us. And it wasn't like we didn't have a guy there. We had people at the point of attack. We just weren't tackling very well at all. And so that's why, I told our guys at halftime, there's not going to be a whole lot of changes in terms of what we're calling or a lot of schematic adjustments. If anything, we got to go out in the parking lot and do some tackling drills because we're just not tackling well. And I think they did a little bit better job at times in the second half tackling.
Running back Norman Shuford was tremendous. 167 yards rushing, 118 yards receiving, totals of 285 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was named the GLIAC Offensive Player of the Week for his efforts. Just talk about how special he was on Saturday.
He did a great job. He in the run game was very slippery when he got into the back end. I would say he was clean a lot of times getting to the back end because our O-line tight ends did a great job, and then we had some help downfield blocking. But a lot of guys miss. A lot of guys miss in the back end that led to some of those touchdown runs. And basically most of his receiving yards came on 2 chunk plays. One of them, we threw a little swing pass out. We had great block on the perimeter, and he took it up the sideline. And then the other one was a 3rd and 22, and he saw coverage and got us into a check where Norman was one-on-one with one of their inside linebackers, and he got in behind him, and he threw a really good ball down the middle for a touchdown. So a couple big chunk pass plays, a result of, in my opinion, our quarterback putting us in good calls and throwing the ball very well to get him the ball. So it's, he had a great day statistically and was really running hard and running very effectively. And I think, like he said in his interview, some of the stuff he said, he owes some credit maybe to some other people on the field, too, for his performance.
Another guy who has just been playing lights out the past weeks is Eric Thompson. 100-yard kickoff return in the first quarter. He kind of sealed the deal, I guess you could say, in the fourth quarter with his pick 6, his second in as many weeks, a 49-yard interception return this week for a touchdown. Talk about how impressive he's been. I mean, he's really turning into an electric player once he gets the ball in his hands.
He's a little bit kind of an offensive player playing defense, to be honest with you. I mean, he's Guy with really good ball skills. He's very fast. I mean, he might be one of the fastest kids on our team, and can also put his foot in the ground, explosive. So, and we got a lot of weapons on offense, so we have him on defense, helping us out of defense. But we try to get the ball in his hands, doing some different things. Some of that, him, making plays on the ball there. But those kickoff returns, I mean, I think I know he doesn't have enough returns to rank up their statistic in the league, but I think he's averaging like 35 yards a kickoff return, which is insane. So he's coming along. I think at times, though, there were some times on Saturday he could have made some tackles and helped us out. He missed some tackles. So we're playing him on every special team. He starts on all 4 special teams and plays on defense, and he's getting more comfortable in that role as a sophomore. We just need to clean up a little bit of his tackling, and he's great when the ball's in the air on defense. Some of the run stuff and get him tackling is the next thing he's got to work on to become really a dominant, complete player.
Quarterback Heath Parling was 9 of 20 passing, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. He threw a pick. What was your kind of assessment of Heath on Saturday?
I think a little bit he was better than the statistics may have indicated. We had some drops by some of our guys, especially in the first quarter. We dropped some balls. And the one pick, it was an interesting play. A corner got underneath to tip the ball. It was one of those tip ball drills. So it wasn't the type of interception where just horrible reading. He threw it to a guy. A guy kind of late got underneath it and tipped it to a guy. So we could handle those type of interceptions as opposed to just horrendous decision making. It wasn't a bad decision. And I like I said before, the 3rd and 22, he got us into that call. And there were some other things in the run game. He's getting us into the right call. So what we're really seeing a marked improvement on him is the game management and what he's doing there. And really, to be honest with you, I know he completed less than 50% of his passes. He threw the ball well, other than maybe 1 or 2 times the ball fluttered a little bit on him. He was throwing the ball in some very windy conditions, and we just got to come up with some of those catches that we missed.
You welcome Ferris State into Lubber Stadium. You're back home finally after a couple weeks off. Ferris State's 4-2 in the conference, 5-2 overall. It's going to be a shootout, at least if you look at the stats. They're the top offense in the GLIAC in terms of yardage. They're fourth in points scored. They're averaging 34 points a game. They bring in a great quarterback, and as you mentioned, they have a great running back in Skylar Stoker, but he hasn't played the past couple of weeks. Just talk about their offense specifically.
Well, they're running a lot of plays. When you look at the number of plays they're running, it's remarkable. They ran 93 plays against Northern Michigan last week, and they're going really up tempo and going fast. They ran 90 plays against our Dominicans, so some of their yardage totals mirrors the number of plays they're running, and so that's going to be a challenge for us. It's a very much it's an Oregon type deal. It's a lot of moving parts, guys fly sweeping and motioning, and a quarterback running. I mean, if you flipped on Oregon, you could see some similarities with the type of offense that Ferris is running, so it provides some challenges that way, and they have the up-tempo stuff that Oregon does too. And then, on the other side of the ball, their defense is big, it's physical, and I think what I've been impressed of, they haven't given up very many big plays at all. So it's going to be one of those games where our offense can't afford to go out there and get a bunch of 3-and-outs and put us back out there, because it's just going to happen. If they run 90 plays, they're going to they're going to move the ball some, and we've got to try to control clock. The one game where they lost, where they didn't run as many plays, was Finley, and Finley was able to run the ball on them. And was really able, I think he got 260 yards rushing, Finley did, against him. So we got to be able to run the ball, control the clock, not only so our offense can score points, but help our defense stay off the field a little bit and not be out there at time. Then special teams will be huge. I mean, our offense is going to have to execute and put together longer drives. If we've got to go 85 yards because our kickoff return team is horrendous or punt return doesn't take care of business, our chances of finishing those drives are way less than if we can start the ball at midfield. And so that'll be the thing we're preaching, is we've got to make sure we did what we build on what we did last week. We really have to have good special teams to help out our offense.
You've said in the past that time of possession isn't a stat that you really look a whole lot into, especially since you guys score sometimes 1-minute drives, 2-minute drives, 3-minute drives. You have a lot of quick strikes. How important, as you kind of mentioned, how important is that going to be a focus this weekend?
Well, it's going to be a bigger stat, I think, for us, but I don't think we're going to go into the game and design our game plan to try to 3 yards in a cloud of dust. My point with saying that, we're going to have to grind things out, I just think of the nature of their defense is we're not going to have these big chunk runs, these big chunk passes that we've had in the past, and we need to understand it. So it's not going to shift our philosophy, where we're going to try to get more possession. We're going to try to wait till the clock runs all the way down before we snap the ball and really try to grind out a win. I just want to make sure our team understands that things are not going to be easy, that we're really going to have to work to get it. And I think if we have that approach, that the time of possession may reflect what we want to get done, instead of being maybe we're trying to get that time. If we're doing what we want to do, the time of possession will come with it, but that's not. We're not really trying to aim to try to possess the ball and try to shorten the game. That's not who we are.
It's a rivalry game. 2 top offenses in the conference. What are you kind of looking at this weekend to be the biggest key?
Still comes down to turnovers. If they have more possessions than we do, it's going to put more pressure on both sides of the ball. And then, I think if you've looked at our games we played, how we start is critical. And in our 3 losses, and even a little bit Saturday, we didn't get off to great starts, and you're in for dogfights, and you end up losing 3 of them. If they have a lead, they're going to be dangerous. We have to get off to a good start, and if we can establish a lead earlier in the game, I think that works to our benefit. So it's going to be all about how the first quarter goes and how we handle our business from the opening kickoff.
Grand Valley State returns to Lubber Stadium this Saturday, October 22nd, for their rivalry game with Ferris State at 7 o'clock. Is Laker Blue Night, as Coach Mitchell obviously showed us there. Go to louislockerroom.com for any of your blue gear. Mitch, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it. And we'll see you there on Saturday night. Thanks for watching the Matt Mitchell Show here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.